Hello. We're discussing the anatomy and physiology of speech. This is speech part 5. I would be discussing the muscles of the larynx in this presentation. Last time we have considered various classifications of the cartilages and the interior of the larynx. If you know the cartilages, then it will be easier to know the muscles of the larynx. The muscles are very important for movements. And if you consider only the muscles of the larynx, then the larynx is elevated, depressed, it may be pulled backward, and likewise forward, and the size and shape of the larynx, the interior, is modified by the muscles. And that modification brings about changes in the voice, in the phonation, resonance, and even articulation of speech. So muscles are extremely important. And I share the PowerPoint, and then we will go for the drawing on the whiteboard so that we can understand the muscles better. We have already considered where the larynx is in this particular slide up to here. That is trachea. Already we have discussed the classifications of the cartilages and the interior of the larynx. You can have a quick recap. Cartilages, thyroid, cricoid, epiglottic. Epiglottic cartilage is a part of the epiglottis. Remember that. Epiglottis is not 100%. It is not 100% cartilage. So epiglottic cartilage, that will be covered by mucosa. And in the mucosa, there will be even taste buds. The entire element will be called epiglottis. And then there is arytenoid cartilage, corticulate cartilage, and cuneiform. These are relatively unimportant. And now we go for the next slide. And here are those cartilages. Hard bone, the only bone in the skeleton. And for the muscles, I will have to draw some of these diagrams again. But once again, revise those cartilages. Thyroid, cricoid. Arytenoid, corniculate, cuneiform. This is the interior of the larynx, and there it is trachea. This is the inlet of the larynx. upper limit of the larynx is the upper border of epiglottis. This is epiglottis. Epiglottis is behind the tongue. The oral part there, pharyngeal part there. Very important region of the larynx interior is this rima glottidis. I show it perfectly now. There it is. Intermembranous part and between the cartilages, intercartilaginous part. This region deals with the phonation, and there the muscles play a very important role, which we'll be considering soon. And I think I have to now concentrate on the muscles, and after this slide, I'll be going for the whiteboard drawing. Now, muscles of the larynx only we are discussing, but these muscles are classified into two broad groups, extrinsic and intrinsic. In this slide, what you see are the extrinsic muscles. These muscles are on the exterior of the larynx. Their one end is attached to the larynx and other end is attached outside the larynx. So such muscles can pull the larynx up and down, as per example. Generally, the muscles which are attached to the hyoid bone are called extrinsic muscles of the larynx. Now, where is the hyoid bone? Here is the hyoid bone. This one. And I point out perfectly here. This is the hyoid bone. And all the muscles which are shown attached to that bone, you can consider as extrinsic muscles of the larynx. Now, some muscles which we find here going down from the hyoid, actually they are going up from the sternum and scapula. In that example, this muscle can pull the larynx down. The muscles which are going upward from the hyoid, they can pull the larynx up wherever required for speech and for swallowing, deglutition. So what are these names? The extrinsic muscles are, as for example, from sternum to hyoid bone, sternohyoid, sternum to thyroid cartilage, sternothyroid. Then from scapula to hyoid bone, omohyoid, scapula is shoulder. And then there are some muscles attached to the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage, which pull the larynx backward, you can say, but upward also. Stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus. They are basically muscles of the pharynx, but they are attached to the laryngeal cartilage. And that's why last test called them palatolaryngous, stylolaryngous. Such names have been given. So their other end is attached to the thyroid process for stylopharyngeus, to the palatine aponeurosis. Palatine aponeurosis for palatopharyngeus. Like that. In this particular slide, the muscles which we see include this digastric attached to the hyoid bone there. we see the mylohard, this one, dip to the digastric there. It can pull the hard bone up if the mandible is stabilized. This is mandible. Now we go for the whiteboard, and I have to stop sharing this PowerPoint. Now I will be going for the drawing. And now what we are considering are the intrinsic muscles of the larynx. So what are they? They are 100% within the larynx, within the confines of the larynx. They are both the ends, origin and insertion, both the attachments are in the larynx. Now, how do we classify them? I've got a slide giving various classifications. We are classifying only intrinsic muscles now. One classification is according to number, just like the cartilage, paired and unpaired. The second classification is according to actions. Actions on the laryngeal inlet and on the rima glottidis. And details we'll be discussing very soon. The third classification is according to innervation, muscles supplied by the recurrent laryngeal nerve and muscles supplied by the external laryngeal or superior laryngeal nerve. And finally, according to development, muscles developing from the sixth arch or the last pharyngeal arch and muscles developing from the fourth pharyngeal arch. Pharyngeal arch is also called branchial arch. Now let us go for the first drawing, and I will go for the profile. We can go for the thinner. Yes, black color is available already. Here it is. Now I draw the hard bone first. Body of the hard bone, the lesser horn, and the greater horn. I think that is fine. Then the thyroid cartilage, left lamina, superior horn of the same cartilage, and then inferior border of the lamina and inferior horn of the thyroid cartilage. The two horns are interconnected by the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage. Then we put the cricoid cartilage. And this is the arch of the cricoid cartilage that I am putting now. And at the back, there is the lamina of the cricoid cartilage. It is hidden by the thyroid there. But we will require that. So I am drawing it. And this is the lower border of the cricoid cartilage. And then there is trachea. Now, arytenoid cartilage is in this locus, and we will consider it little later. Now, along the lateral surface of the thyroid lamina, in front of the superior horn, there is a tubercle, superior thyroid tubercle. And between the superior and inferior thyroid tubercle, there is oblique line of the thyroid cartilage. And the first muscle which I am showing are not intrinsic muscles. They are not intrinsic muscles, but I would like to show them with the help of this diagram. We find the muscle of the pharynx called inferior constrictor. A part of that in this situation, going like that. I will change the color, that will be better. Okay. This is the inferior constrictor, and I put the first fiber there, going upward, backward, and medially. Inferior constrictor, thyropharyngeus part. It is a muscle of the pharynx, but you can call it an extrinsic muscle of the larynx. The other part of the same muscle appears in this situation. I am showing just a part of it. The entire muscle is inferior constrictor. The second muscle that I would like to show is the thyroid. I draw it in the reverse direction. Then thyroid. Just so few fibers. Thyroid. And the next muscle comes from below, attached to the same oblique line. So that is important. Make them attach to the oblique line. Is that fine? Sternothyroid. Here it is now. And similarly, here. Coming from below. Sternum, actually. This is sternothyroid. I will put just 3-4 fibers. Okay. Sternothyroid. All the muscles which I have shown are the extrinsic muscles of the larynx. Now we begin with the intrinsic. So I have shown 3 muscles which are attached to the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage. Inferior constrictor we begin with, then thyroid, and then sternothyroid. Is that fine? Okay. Now, to show the intrinsic muscle, the first one I will have to remove this part of the extrinsic groove. And I will do it now. And if additional elements are removed, doesn't matter. Yeah, good. So deep to the sternothyroid, you will get the muscle here, which I am going to put soon. And I will remove the remaining part here. Inferior constrictor also to some extent. This is fine now. Okay. We'll remove. Okay. And I will now show the intrinsic muscle which is on the exterior of the larynx. The only muscle which you can see very easily on the outside of the larynx. And I go for that muscle. Yes, this is fine. But before that, I complete whatever we removed of the thyroid cartilage there. And confirm it is fine. Yes. Now here it is the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage. This is the inferior border. There was the inferior thyroid tubercle. Very important for this muscle, the inferior horn of the thyroid cartilage. So I have to put it properly. Now I show the cricothyroid muscle. Cricothyroid muscle. And here it is. Attached to this area, arch of the cricoid cartilage, this region. And from there it goes to the lower border of the thyroid cartilage, there. And to the anterior border of the inferior horn, there. This is the region for the attachment. And the fibers will be running in this direction. Here. Right up to there. This is the cricothyroid muscle. If you connect the names of the cartilages of the larynx, you get the names of the muscles. Cricothyroid. This is muscle 1. In this diagram, we could show it easily. Now there is a fascia covering this muscle, and that is taken to form one arch. And that fascia we will put whitish color. Let's see whether that yes will be fine. And from there, and from the cricoid arch, this inferior constrictor arises, thickening in the fascia covering cricothyroid muscle. So from this thickening and from this part of the arch of the cricoid cartilage, inferior constrictor arises, and that part is called cricopharyngeus, but we are not going to discuss it further. The higher part attached to the oblique line, we have already considered here, it is called thyropharyngeus. Thyropharyngeus. Two parts of the inferior constrictor, but don't be confused. Only one pair of muscles, right and left, cricothyroid, of the intrinsic group we have considered. Now, I will show you some more muscles. And we take a sagittal section of the larynx for that purpose. And already we have done it many times previously. And I put the hyoid bone here, but before that, yes, better. We put the tongue, the oral part of the tongue, good. That pharyngeal part, then the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone. Midline is here. Roughly, I will try to correlate the body of the hyoid bone and in section, somewhat like this. This is the thyroid cartilage, the way usually we are putting it, with the prominent part there, laryngeal prominence, more prominent in male, and we call it Adam's apple. I did not use this name previously. This is the section through the left lamina of the thyroid cartilage. Just little bit of the midline, somewhere here, not in the midline. This is the cricoid in section. And then the lamina of the cricoid cartilage at the back, we put it here. And we put the robust arytenoid cartilage, apical part, the vocal process, directed laterally the muscular process, and from there quadriplegic cartilage, and there is a joint here between the arytenoid and corniculate. Which kind of joint, type of joint you have to find out, and this is the uniform cartilage. This is the epiglottis behind the tongue, and upper border of that there, and that is the upper limit of the larynx. And then actually here the curvature is important. Okay, bring it here. This is larynx connected with the, this is epiglottis actually, connected with the hyoid bone here and with the thyroid cartilage there. But we are interested in this epiglottic fold. Now I will show the left one somewhat like this. And this is the right one schematically. It will go like that. And this is the laryngeal inlet, upper end of the larynx. Where the hairy epiglottic fold is there, that is the margin of the laryngeal inlet. Okay. Now, upper border of the cricoid cartilage I put here. The lower border is here, somewhat corresponding there. And then in section, the seed-shaped cartilages of the trachea, and at the back, just I indicate the soft tissue wall of the trachea. Larynx and the ear, this is trachea. Now I will quickly show the muscles. I think I have laid down everything that is required. Now, at the level of the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage, very important, this one. You find vocalis muscle. I change the color. Here it is. Vocalis muscle. Deeply located in the region of the vocal cord. Outside that, that means lateral to that, you find the thyroarytenoid muscle. From the thyroid cartilage to the arytenoid cartilage, anterolateral surface. So, thyroarytenoid muscle. We just put few fibers. Okay. Thyroarytenoid. In the same sheet, you find the fibers going up to the hairy epiglottic fold region, lateral border of the epiglottis. Here. So this is called thyroepiglotticus. I will show it here. That can pull the laryngeal inlet, hairy epiglottic fold laterally. It is called thyroepiglotticus. So, one continuous sheet is there, even lateral to this vocalis muscle, the fibers will be there, and I can put them here. Thyroarytenoid. And there is one muscle which runs from the upper border of the cricoid cartilage to the muscular process of the arytenoid. In this situation, a small muscle. It is called lateral cricoarytenoid. To the front of the muscular process. It is deep to this cricothyroid. And then to the same muscular process, a muscle which is at the back of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage is attached, and that is posterior cricoarytenoid. That can be shown here. Posterior cricoarytenoid. I show it prominently here in a section, remember. We can have a broader pen. Okay, and here it is. Posterior cricoarytenoid. Collect the names of the cartilages, then you get the names of the muscles, intrinsic muscles. Cricoarytenoid, but there are two, the posterior and the lateral. Connect the names of the cartilages. Thyroid cartilage, epiglottic cartilage. Thyroepiglotticus. Thyroarytenoid. And apart from this, between the two arytenoid cartilages, there is a transverse arytenoid deeply in this location. We'll see from behind how this muscles look. And still behind, there is a smaller muscle, oblique arytenoid. And from the top of the arytenoid cartilage, a muscle runs encircling the laryngeal inlet. So on both the sides, the muscle will be there. I'm trying to show it like this, here and here. This is highly schematic, remember. Arytenoid and epiglottic cartilage are connected. So it is called aryepiglotticus. Aryepiglotticus. And the epiglottic cartilage is inside this. We have shown the section of the epiglottis here, and there the cartilage will be there, aryepiglotticus. So we have to take it throughout here. That will be better. And similarly, in this schema, this is the way we can show it. Right and left, both are shown, aryepiglotticus. Obviously, they will narrow the opening of the laryngeal inlet, which will be widened by this muscle, because only one we have shown, but the other side is there. It will be pulling on the aryepiglottic fold, and that is how the laryngeal inlet will be widened by thyroepiglotticus muscles. So aryepiglotticus is a sphincter of the laryngeal inlet, and thyroepiglotticus is the dilator of the laryngeal inlet. Dilator of the laryngeal inlet. So, which muscles we have considered? One, cricothyroid. Two, we considered vocalis in this location deeply. Three, we considered thyroarytenoid. Fourth, we considered thyroepiglotticus. Fifth, we considered the lateral cricoarytenoid. Sixth, we considered posterior cricoarytenoid. Seventh, we considered transverse arytenoid. Eighth, we considered the oblique arytenoid. And ninth, we considered aryepiglotticus. 9 multiplied by 2 will be 18. So, but 9 pairs are not there. 8 pairs are there. The transverse arytenoid is single. Single is single. And now, if we look at the larynx from the back, we will get some better idea about muscles which are at the back. And I will go for the drawing of that region. We go for the black color again. And we give for the thinner pen the pattern. And here it is. Now, this is the arytenoid cartilage. Fine. So I can begin at the tongue also, no problem. Here, the tongue. The pharyngeal part of the tongue. And then behind the tongue, the epiglottis. This is the upper border of the epiglottis. Yes, fine. And then epiglottis surface is here. In the lower part, there is a tubercle, epiglottic tubercle. We can show it here, no problem. Elongated. But we are interested in the region of the arytenoid cartilage. Here it is, arytenoid. So we saw the upper border of the cricoid cartilage from the back. Upper border. Lamina. It is the lamina. Then there are the facets for the arytenoid cartilages. This is the lamina of the cricoid cartilage. This one. There. This is the arytenoid cartilage, and we are interested in the not vocal process but apical process or apex of the arytenoid cartilage. We are interested in the muscular or lateral process, and they are here. This arytenoid cartilage, similarly on the other side, has 3 surfaces. That and 3 surfaces. And the surfaces are called anterolateral on this side, medial towards the midline, and what we are looking at is posterior surface. In this view, that is the apex, this is the muscular process. Vocal process is horizontal, and we have already seen it here. This is it. This apical process, sometimes it is just called apex of the pyramidal cartilage. So, if we consider it as a process, apical process, then there are 3 processes. Apical, I will show it later. The vocal, and then the muscular lateral process. Now we are seeing from the back here. So this is the posterior view. And in this diagram, the thyroid cartilage, etc. Of course, thyroid cartilage will be there. The thyroid cartilage, this posterior border and the horns are present here. So we can just indicate that somewhat like this, isn't it? And the thyroid cartilage in a section are not proper. That's better. Yes, the thyroid cartilage will hide the arytenoid, and thyroid cartilage will be extending up to the cricoid also, but not up to lower level. So this is the region where roughly I will put the thyroid cartilage. That's better. Posterior border. Okay. And similarly on the other side. This is the region where the trachea is present. Okay. And we have enlarged that. Remember that. Okay. Now our main aim is to put the muscles which are at the back of the larynx. So I will do that now. The central part is reserved for the attachment of the esophagus. Behind the trachea is esophagus, remember. Behind the larynx here is pharynx. So the muscles which I am showing now are covered by the pharyngeal mucosa, and I will go to the color which we have used for the muscles. That will be fine, and the thickness of the line. Okay, we go for the intermediate. This is fine. Now, going to the muscular process of the arytenoid here, like this, and like this. And in the intervening region, so fibers are horizontal there, and then the fibers are on the other side also oblique, nearly vertical. Yes. Here. This is the posterior cricoarytenoid. Okay. Posterior cricoarytenoid. And we can make it like this on one side at least. This is posterior cricoarytenoid. Connecting the cricoid cartilage with the arytenoid at the back, remember. It is covered by the mucosa of the or wall of the pharynx. Posterior cricoarytenoid. Okay. And then between the two arytenoid cartilages at the back, posterior surfaces are connected by the only unfed muscle of the larynx, intrinsic group, and this is called the transverse arytenoid. transfer arytenoid. And in one of our specimens, naturally dissected by my colleague Dr. B.J. Patel, I will show you this muscles later. And superficial to this, connecting the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage with the apical process, you find the oblique arytenoid. Now I will change the color for the oblique arytenoid because otherwise it won't be visible. And we go for the red color there. No, that will not be fine. This one, blue is better. Here it is. One arytenoid cartilage, opposite arytenoid cartilage. Similarly, here. Oblique arytenoid. And I maintain the same color. And in the aryepiglottic fold there, the aryepiglotticus can be shown running like this. And similarly here. It's not a continuous muscle from here to there. One attachment is here, oblique arytenoid in this situation. Similarly on the other side. Then the second muscle starts, aryepiglotticus. Similarly, you find in case of the sternothyroid and thyroid at the front. Okay. So again, I will return to the black color to show the aryepiglottic fold. Before I do that, I can indicate that to the muscular process in this situation, the lateral cricoarytenoid is attached, going to the front of the thyroid cartilage. Lateral front of the, not thyroid cartilage, but to the upper border of the arytenoid, not arytenoid, cricoid cartilage, fine, cricoid cartilage. So two cricoarytenoid muscles, lateral and posterior, act on the arytenoid cartilage at the muscular process. Now I will have to show the remark glottitis and how the muscles are arranged there, and then we go for the classification. I have exceeded the time, so I will be discontinuing at this time, and I just show the aryepiglottic fold. This one from the lateral border of the epiglottis, it runs to the arytenoid cartilage. This is the mucosa. And similarly on the other side. And between the muscle and the mucosa, there is aryepiglottic ligament. And actually, this is the region where I have put the epiglottic tubercle of the laryngeal inlet that will lead into the larynx. But this region covered by mucosa belongs to the pharynx and lower level esophagus. So this is the This is the laryngeal inlet. Now that is schematically shown here. This is all laryngeal inlet region actually between the early epiglottic fold. Similarly here. Now I stop sharing the screen and I think I have to close the whiteboard first. That's fine. And there it is. We are coming to the end of this presentation, and then I will go for the remaining slide. Time consumed is much more than I expected. When you draw and try to understand and explain, uh, we always go over the time and the time that we have decided at the beginning. Anyway, uh, we come to the end of this presentation. We have discussed the intrinsic muscles and actual classification I started with. Uh, in a shorter presentation, the next one, speech part 6, I will complete the muscles of the larynx and only larynx. Thank you.